I'm going down these black stairs, and suddenly I just see this like bob of hair come down onto my shoulder. And I'm like, what is, like, it was such a mad rush. There's security people around me. And then I catch this bob, and then I turn around, and you will never guess who is attached to this bob. Wait, it's not even BTS. This is just the thing. Yeah. Oh, miss you. See you on the other side. Okay. So welcome back. Episode 6. Wow, 6 episodes deep. And it is, in fact, another solo episode. It is me, myself, and I. I wanted to start the episode by saying, like, we really are always just one bad day away from what I saw the other day. And I was retelling this story to my friend last night, and it was actually her that said, we are all actually one bad morning away from this man. And this is a situation where I really do believe his intrusive thoughts got the best of him. So I'm asleep, and I wake up to this man like screaming, swearing, saying like, you almost beeping hit me, da-da-da. And I was like, what is going on? And like, I still live in London, but I wouldn't say I live in a rather like rowdy part of London. I live near like a busy road, but it's not like rowdy busy, so I'm like, what is happening? It's so early in the morning. It must be like no later than like 8 a.m. right? So I like peek out the window, and I'm kind of like, what is happening? And this man is stood, and it's a main road, bear in mind. He stood in the middle of the road, halting traffic, so that, because it's like 3 or 4 different streams of traffic that can go by, and there's like a yellow box and different traffic lights, whatever, but it's one of those traffic lights where 3 cars can get through max. And this man has stood in front of, he does not care. He's in front of a double-decker red bus and a whole stream of different cars behind that double-decker bus, physically stopping traffic like a lollipop lady, allowing another stream of traffic on the other side to go round so that more than just like 3 cars can pass. He's stopped at this current time, and I've got this on video. He's stopping maybe 1, 2, 3 streams of traffic across, 3 or 4 different lanes, because this side over here can't go either because they need to cross over, and he's stopping it up here. And I was so fast for a second. I thought, oh, is this someone, who is like drunk, or are they like, no. The more I was listening to him, the more I was like, oh, this is someone so coherent, but is so done with the morning traffic. Anyway, the kind of ending of the story is he stops, and he's doing this for maybe like 5 solid minutes. And then he starts swearing at a few people, because some people aren't going because they don't want to be in the yellow box. He's trying to encourage people to be in the yellow box. So I don't think he really knows the rules of the road either. But anyway, he then decides to stop, and I see him walking down the road, and I'm thinking, what is he doing? Where's he going? Because, I'm nosy, and I'm still looking out the window. And then he jumps into the car that is at the very front of the queue. So this man was so frustrated with the morning traffic in London, he got out his car. He walked all the way up the road to where this main road was, and physically stopped traffic to kind of get rid of the congestion. And me and my friend were laughing so much at this story, because we really are all one bad morning away from doing something like that. Okay, so I kind of wanted to talk about a little update from me. So what has been new this week? So I finally, praise and joy, I started working for a few days this week. which was very exciting. It was my first time back on a film set for a very hot minute. So I really, really, really did have to just completely, the ADHD medication had to be taken with haste. Because I don't know, I think when I'm away from it, I completely forget how all consuming and intense it is, and you know your mind needs to be on multiple things at once, and I wouldn't have it any other way. But oof, it is, you know, it really is sink or swim, because it is a crazily intense schedule, and I honestly wouldn't have it any other way. And I don't know, although I do have mixed feelings about taking my medication. I think anything that is going to just sharpen the mind, I'm down for, even if it is just on certain days. So that's a win. I'm going to talk about some of the wins from this week. I feel like last week I was talking a lot about rejection, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I did get a few more rejections this week. I applied for a writing, not like a fellowship, but a writing collective with Edinburgh TV festival. Didn't get on. They sent me a rejection letter, and I knew towards the end it was, you know when you skim read something, and the first thing I saw was the very end that was like, thank you for taking the time to apply. And I thought, they're not thanking you to take the time if you've got on. So unfortunately, you know, a few rejections, but today we're only going to focus on the wins. And I worked, I loved it, enjoyed it. I also went to, oh my goodness, the most exciting thing that has happened to me for a hot minute. I went to this Q&A and screening of The Studio. It's a Apple TV show, if anyone hasn't heard of it or watched it, and it's kind of a comedy, comedy. Yeah, I would say comedy. I was going to say comedy drama, but like I would say more comedy than drama, about the ins and outs of someone who's a head of a studio, a film studio. And it is so funny and so well shot. And I went to this screening in London, and there was a Q&A with, and take a minute here, none other than Seth Rogen. And I wouldn't say I'm someone that like fangirls a lot. Like, don't get me wrong, I get very excited about meeting people that I've seen on TV or that I, admire. But I feel like when you work in film and TV, you're so focused on the job and, surviving and making sure everything goes, according to plan. There sometimes just isn't time to be fangirling in that way. But because this was an event and someone that I've grown up on Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. I've grown up on their movies, like Superbad and Pineapple Express and The Interview. Like, I feel like their movies have changed, obviously, quite a bit as I've grown up, and I feel like I've also changed with it. So when I saw them at this Q&A, I lost my mind. And I feel like with every answer he was giving, I was like, pretending like he was really talking to me. Like, it was, there was no decorum about how I was on that day. But it was one of the best Q&As. Actually, one of the best Q&As I've ever been to, actually. Mainly just because the questions were so well thought out by the moderator. He said something, and I don't want to misquote this, so bear with me. There was something he said in this Q&A that really like resonated with me. And I think he had said, like, people, ask if this is a show that is satire or not. And I don't know, he kind of said, I don't think it is, because satire is normally taking something of, a higher importance or something super political and turning it into, and turning, you looking at it through a comic lens and, the absurdities of it. And we're taking something which for most people isn't as important and making it the highest of importance. And that parts of filmmaking really is like that. And I think although is political and is so important, and it really is my life. I also think you can't get so consumed by it that it, makes you forget your humanity or why you're there in the first place. And I feel like the best person that reminded me of that could only be Seth Rogen. So that was an incredible experience. So it's been a good week for Ashley. It has been a good week. I absolutely love Apple TV. And honestly, I shouldn't be giving them a free shout out, but they get this for free one time and one time only, because I don't know if I'm just really super late to the party, but I had never really been like an Apple TV girl. I didn't think they had it going on like that. And I was, I've been going through it over the past month or two, and I'm like, there are huge shows with huge actors. There's a show called Shrinking with like Harrison Ford in, like 3 seasons deep. And I'm thinking, how is this show I've never heard of 3 seasons deep? And it's the same with most of these shows. Like, they're not even like 1 season shows. They're like 2-3 season shows with these huge actors. And they just don't advertise at all. And it is like low key a flex, question mark. So I don't know. Apple TV, I think, might be the winner for me when it comes to the streaming platforms at the moment. I've been really getting into it. But anyway, that is a rough update from me. Now I'm gonna get into it. We've just come off the back of Paris, London, New York, Milan Fashion Week. And I was just speaking to my friend about it the other day. I love fashion weeks. I have been very fortunate enough that over the few years, I've gone to a few shows with one of my friends who works in film, and she took me as her guest. I was very lucky to go, and I thought, can I tell this story on the podcast? Yes, I will. And honestly, when I'm hoping she'll come on the podcast and she can maybe tell it from her POV, but I feel like I want to tell it from my POV. So let's take it back to a few years ago. I was at my first, I think this one was Milan Fashion Week, and I was so excited and so nervous. I had put together my own outfit because, a lot of the time the celebrities who go to these fashion shows are all dressed by, the big fashion houses, and everything is sent over to them and they have all these fittings. But if you're a guest, you're not going to be getting, that type of treatment, and you're not going to be dressed by these designers. So what did I wear? I'm pretty sure everything was like high street. My whole outfit cost less than £100. I had turned like a shirt into something different and turned a dress into something different and made it into one dress. And I was very excited about my outfit. And honestly, like, I was kind of like low key, I was kind of proud of this outfit actually, because considering the time I had to prepare and what I actually was using, it wasn't bad. But anyway, so I'm at this fashion show and I'm just so grateful to be here. I'm not saying a thing. I'm watching, I'm enjoying it. And it comes towards which show was it? I think it was Prada. I'm at a Prada show, and it's, coming to the end of the show, and as everyone's, kind of leaving, and the set design was insane this year, but it was all, the whole floor was all like black sand, and black sand going down into the steps as well. So it is quite hard to see. Everyone, once the show's done, everyone's just trying to get to their cars or leave or go to, reception, So I'm, trying to leave. I've lost my friend because we were sat in separate places, and I'm going down these black stairs, and suddenly I just see this like bob of hair come down onto my shoulder. And I'm like, what is, like, it was such a mad rush. There's security people around me. And then I catch this bob, and then I turn around, and you will never guess who is attached to this bob. It's Anna Wintour. Of all the people that could have fallen onto me is Anna Wintour. And I was freaking out. And I think you have these Italian, maybe they're American. I don't know. I didn't hear the accents. They looked Italian. Security people. And I don't know if it looked like I was doing something untoward or what. But like, I low-key have like just caught fashion on my back, ? And, you know, we get to the very bottom of the stairs and she turns to me and is like, thank you, you know, and kind of walks off because I feel like she's so pristine and well put together. And like, I have never been around someone that makes me feel like they're royalty. You know, she is who I imagine royalty to be like hundreds of years ago, like a force. And that is how I felt when I was around Anna Wintour. It was one of the most surreal moments of my life, I would say. And it was so hectic. So yeah, it was honestly a very, very crazy story. But I don't know if I'll ever have another fashion week or fashion story that can really outdo that. Like, who else can say that, honestly? So I was in a coffee shop the other day, and it's one of those coffee shops where you have to put your name in as you order. So I put my name in as I order, and I'm waiting for it, and this man screams, and I'm really not underestimating, screams out loud, felt like in my face, my name. And I was so embarrassed. And I remember thinking, this shouldn't be embarrassing though. Like, this isn't actually an embarrassing thing. My name is Ashley. I ordered a coffee. You're shouting, Ashley, this is my coffee. But honestly, I was this close to just not claiming it and just put my hat down and saying like, not me. And that really made me reflect on like, what are other things that are so embarrassing, but they shouldn't be, you know, because that I honestly, and it's the same with food. You know, when you go to like, and normally I feel like it's more like fast food, right? You are waiting and it's fine when it's a number. If they're like 223, you know, and you just like very quietly and demurely, you just like grab your like burgers or chicken nuggets and fries and like, thank you. You know, I don't know why there's some sort of shame thing. I do blame the 2000s. There's some kind of shame around me picking up my fast food. But like with the numbers, I can cope. You know, I just grab it. Thank you for your time. And I leave. But I have been, I wish I could remember which fast food chain it was. But they shout out your order. So they're like double, you know, double burger, fries, 2 sides. And I'm like, thank you. Like, keep it down. Do you know what I mean? This is meant to be like my Friday treat. Like, why are you screaming my business across the whole of this restaurant? And it's so embarrassing. But why? Why is it embarrassing? Because it shouldn't be. I'm literally just trying to get my food. And I was thinking, okay, what other things are so embarrassing, but they shouldn't be? And in the same realm of food, you know, when you're in a, I don't know, like a Five Guys, and they don't have sauces, you have to put it in those white little paper cups. So embarrassing. Like, what, I'm holding these tiny little, what, you want 3 sauces, you're still pumping, like someone's behind you. I am always depleted of ketchup at Five Guys because I'm so embarrassed that people are watching me pump, you know, multiple copious little cups of ketchup. So I have to have such a small portion. But why is that embarrassing? It shouldn't be embarrassing, but it is. And what else did I think was so embarrassing? I mean, the obvious ones, which is like waving at someone, you know, when you don't, and it's honestly even worse when you're waving back at someone. You don't even know if you know them, but you're just trying to be polite because you think, I don't know you, but you obviously know me. I don't want to make you feel embarrassed. Lo and behold, you turn around. They're not even waving at you. Literally, I could be sick in my mouth at that. Like, it is so, so, so embarrassing. The same as what happened to me the other day. Oh, me and this lady. And like, maybe it didn't go on for this long, but it felt like time froze in its place and we were doing this dance. So, when you're walking down the street and you have a minute to be like, okay, will I stick to the right or will I, kind of sashay to the left? And you're kind of doing a dance with them and they're thinking the same thing. And like sometimes you're lucky and you both lock minds and they kind of say to you, I'm gonna stick to the right. And you say, yeah, I'm actually going to stick to my right. So you do the opposite, right? This day was not one of those days. Me and this lady were going left, right, left, right, left, right, continuously. I mean, I want to say it was for 10 minutes. Obviously it wasn't, but it felt like time moves slower than normal. And it got to a point where I was like, we're never going to get out. We're going to be here for hours. We're never going to get it together. Eventually, I just had to stop. I stopped and I just allowed, like I do when they're cyclists, just allow them to go around you. And then I will continue with my day once the danger is past. And I just, honestly, for a good few minutes after that, I just could not, I was cringing at myself. And like, God, it's not even an embarrassing thing. Like, we're all just trying to walk out here. What is another one that I was thinking about? Oh, holding an umbrella. Holding an umbrella in general is, I think, embarrassing. Like, I don't want to get wet and I always will hold an umbrella, but there's so much that can go wrong with an umbrella. It can break and God forbid it goes inside out. Because I would say that is one of my top 3 most embarrassing things to happen, because like, I can't even control an umbrella. How is anyone meant to trust me if I can't even control an umbrella? How am I meant to raise kids if I can't even control this like tarp with a few wires coming out of it? Do you know what I mean? It is so, so, so embarrassing. What's another? I'm gonna think of 1 or 2 more and then I'm gonna move on. But like, oh, I know. And this one is a big one. Putting your luggage up in the like luggage compartment and taking your luggage off at the airport or on a train. And I don't know what it is about it. I think it's like, especially when you're trying to take it off and, there's so much like warm up and prep and you're kind of like, you're eyeing it up and you're thinking, okay, like, my time's coming up. Like you're trying to make sure that it's your suitcase, not one that looks like someone else. And if you're anything like me, I'm a huge shopper. So I know, like, I'm not actually 100% sure if I have the gusto to pull this bag off. I'm frail. I've had a however many hour flight. I'm dehydrated. I'm tired. I am not at my best self to be able to drag this suitcase off. And anyone that comes within a perimeter of the path of me taking it off, God help you. But it is just embarrassing, people watching you grab your luggage. And, all of these things, they're not embarrassing. They should not be embarrassing, but they really are. And do you know what? Talking about baggage and the airport, this actually leads me perfectly onto the nemesis of the week. And the nemesis of the week is similarly to last week's nemesis of the week. These are a group of people that like to grab, close their eyes, chuck, and just hope it lands. The people we're talking about right now is the airport baggage people. And I want to preface this first by saying I do not believe that they are paid nearly enough. And I wish they were paid more, because I do believe if they were, maybe they would take a little bit more care with our bags. And that's the airline's fault. And I'm blaming the airlines. I'm not blaming the baggage people. But they do close their eyes and they chuck. And if it lands on the plane, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So they have to be on the nemesis list, because what happened to me a few years ago, I think I was going to New York, and granted, I'd bought this suitcase from Brixton Market. Okay, but it was brand new and there was nothing untoward about it. I don't think it looked like pretty sturdy to me, and like it could take, everything I packed in it. So I don't know. Anyway, this suitcase, when it went onto the plane, had 4 wheels. When it came out, it had 3 wheels. Like, not, a few I mean, it was roughed up as well, but like not just a few dents here and there. And then the wheel clean off, nowhere to be seen. And like, do you know how hard it is to drag a suitcase over 3 wheels? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. I mean, luckily at the time, I think the airline I was flying with were really good. And they just gave me a brand new suitcase, which makes me think, there's a problem. They had a bunch of brand new suitcases locked and loaded, ready to hand out. Like, there's some kind of issue here. But like, come on, we need to take a little bit more care. And at the end of the day, a suitcase is a suitcase. But I was watching a video online, and it was about a wheelchair user who had said, it was like the 3rd time their wheelchair had been broken. And I think, we already live in a very, very, very ableist world. And it's one thing, I think, damaging, a suitcase or even a pram. I'm not saying it's right, but you can always go to the country you're traveling to, or when you get back, and just buy a new suitcase or buy a new pram. But with a wheelchair, like, that's someone's means of, mobility. And 1, it's not cheap, but 2, it's also like most of the time they're custom made. Like, it's not just you can pop to the shops or go to the airport and just get a standard wheelchair. Like, these are custom made. And I think it honestly wasn't something I'd ever even thought about. And I guess that's another problem, that it is probably most of the time it's people who do have disabilities or mobility problems that are having to speak up about it and speak about it. And it actually should be a problem and something we all speak about, because it's already so difficult for people who are in wheelchairs to travel. There's just so many barriers for people already to travel. I just think, like, the very least you can do, chuck all of our bags. If you need, listen, I hold my hands up a tribute. If you need to chuck someone's stuff, fine. Chuck a few suitcases. But I think we really do need to be taking care when it comes to the wheelchairs. And I think we can all, be a lot more aware. And I feel like I'm someone that's still very, very, very much learning. And I don't know, I guess there are some people who are born disabled, but there are also a lot of people who become disabled and have to be in a wheelchair. And I think it's something that could affect any of us, and you never know when. So although it might not affect you in your day-to-day life now, there's, it's not to say that it's not going to affect you in the future. And I don't know, it's something that I wanted to talk about and mention, because I think it's important that there's awareness around it. And I don't know, I guess some more awareness around ableism in general. And I think it was on Instagram, a very reliable source. But, I did my fact checking. This post was actually correct, that Alton Towers have changed their policy for the access pass. And they've removed access for temporarily. They're trialing it out for ADHD and autism. I mean, I didn't actually know that if you had ADHD or autism, you were eligible for a separate access pass to go, in a separate queue. But I don't know, I am someone that loves to read the comments. And when I was reading through them, I thought, oh, it's completely divided on this topic. And, honestly, I'm a classic Libra. I can understand and see, all sides of the situation. But I don't know. On one hand, there are people saying that, it is a bit of an ableist move, especially people with very, complex autism or complex ADHD, and they generally struggle in crowds. It's taking away an opportunity for them to be able to go to these spaces or go to these spaces safely. And then on the other hand, there were people who were speaking up who had ADHD and autism, but said that although it is difficult for them, it is something they can still manage. And I don't know, I'm interested to see what people who are listening to this think. I think maybe it should be done on a case by case basis, because I don't know, for me, I'm someone that definitely struggles more in crowds and gets overstimulated, but I have, a lot of tactics to be able to do things still. But not everyone has that type of support and has all those tools. So, I feel torn, but it was definitely interesting to see. And, I understand that there was such a high volume, they needed to sort something out, but I don't know. And I don't know the answers, but I just found it a very interesting kind of point of discussion. Actually, I said I was going to get out this episode. This is something new that I've bought. I've been got, everyone. I've been got by TikTok Shop. And I don't know if I'm ever going to use this in the workplace, because I do fear if I use this on a film set, I would be asked to leave. But I need everyone to hear this.
Stay away. I'm overstimulated. Back away slowly or approach at your own risk.
I'm obsessed. So if I am ever I'm going to use this with my family 100%. If me or any of my siblings start beefing, I'm going to just press this button and stare them down. I typically don't shop on the TikTok shops, Temu, AliExpress, because where's it go? This is what happens. This is what happens when I'm left to my own devices. And also, for the environment and for the planet too, I care about that, obviously. But this, is it just me? I'm obsessed with this. One more time.
Stay away. I'm overstimulated. Back away slowly or approach at your own risk.
So yeah, I'm pretty covered when it comes to tools. What am I plotting this week? So this week I was plotting, I don't know, what have I been plotting? This week I have been plotting actually how to be more mysterious. And I know what you're going to say. Ashley, you have a podcast. There's no way you can be mysterious. But I have to believe there's a way that I can be mysterious and still have a podcast and tell people, what's on my heart and mind. I don't know, but maybe there's no in between. But I've been really trying to be like, how can I, especially within dating, because I feel like I'm someone that is so open when I meet new people. And, when anyone new I meet automatically has my respect. Respect can only be taken away. And maybe that's a bad thing. But I would love, 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 love to find a way to be a mysterious girl. Having ADHD and being mysterious are not usually two things that go hand in hand. But I really want to try. So if anyone has any tips on how to be more mysterious, I kind of want to be aloof. I want people to be like, wait, who is that girl? I'll say, I don't know. But mysterious people, I don't know. They're so intriguing to me. Like, how do you do it? How do you remain so demure and together? Because I just have word vomit and word diarrhea every 15 to 20 minutes. But it is something I'm really, really trying to work on, and I'm plotting for this week and probably the following week. So if you see me and I look different, that's why. That is why. The other day, I was speaking to my therapist, and I don't know how we got here, but, as anyone who's listened to this podcast, you can only imagine the twists and the turns I get to with my therapist. She's a saint. She is a saint. And somehow we got onto astrocartography. astrocartography and your kind of astrocartography chart. And for anyone that doesn't know what that is, it's a branch of, I'm going to actually read it so I, read it verbatim. It's a branch of relocational astrology that maps your birth chart onto a world map to identify how different locations influence your life by analyzing planetary lines, e.g., Sun, Venus, and angles ascendant midheaven. It helps determine ideal places for living, traveling, romance, or career growth. So it's basically, I went onto this website, you type in some information about yourself. So, actually all I'm hearing is that I'm just giving away my data for free. So that's great. But anyway, I put in, I think, like where you were born, at what time, and a few other details. And then it gives you a whole map with all these different lines of where you're best suited to live. And it's not just best suited. Like one will be, your career would be the best over here, or love is best over here, or it's a whole mix. And I don't know. I know not everyone is into it. Some people will think it's woo woo, but like that's your business. Personally, I believe in all of these things. And more so after I did it, because the craziest thing when I was looking at these lines was they were all cities that I was very drawn to and have either been to and just felt a pull to be, or places that were really, really high on my bucket list of places to visit. And one of those places is Cape Town, which I spent about a few months, about 6 months in last year. And I had such a pull to be there. I couldn't describe it. And one of my lines goes directly through Cape Town. So if it's not real, riddle me that. Another one of mine, I think, was Sydney. And the lifestyle of Sydney, or at least the lifestyle of Sydney in their summer, waking up early, walks on the beach, fitness, connecting with friends super early before you start the work day, and just being outside is honestly all the things that make my brain sane. So it made a lot of sense to me that a huge line of mine was also through Sydney. I actually almost booked a holiday to Sydney because I just lost my goddamn mind, honestly. And I mean, on reflection, I think I was running away from, life, and was like, I'm not sure what to do in this moment right now, but I know what will make me feel good is being in a bikini and being in the sun. And I have two of my best friends live out there. So I was like, that's enough reason for me to jump on a plane. Luckily, I came to my senses and realized that, going there with no plan, with a week's notice, spending my savings is not, probably not the move. But I was this close to being, kind of saying like, fuck it. And sometimes, I don't know, and I'm not sure if this is a universal feeling, but every so often I do get the inkling to be like, should we just shake it up and like blow up my life, but not in like a negative way, in a way that is like, let's blow it up for it to, to restart or change it. Like, I'm not afraid. I'm like, have no fears in moving countries and starting again. And by the way, this is not me saying I'm going to move countries and go to Australia. I feel like I'm going off on a tangent, but I'm just saying that I am someone that is not afraid to do that. But I didn't do it, and actually, thank goodness, because I think it would have been a huge mistake. But Sydney is definitely high up on there of places that I feel like, I don't know how or when, but I see myself being there in the future. Okay, so I'm gonna finish on, what was I watching the other day? I was rewatching Vampire Diaries, and I rewatched Vampire Diaries every few years I like to get back into it. And I don't know, it's one of those, I wouldn't say it's a comfort show, but it's definitely a show that brings, you know, some kind of what's the word? Not euphoria. Oh, that's gonna really annoy me. But anyway, it brings me, no, what is the word? Nostalgia. Oh my god. Dana. Big love to you. Nostalgia. Okay, rewatching it brings nostalgia for when I was a teenager and watching it. And if anyone has watched Vampire Diaries, you know the characters. There's a character called Klaus who at the start there's no question about it. He's a villain. He kills multiple people, you know, no remorse. In all matters of the fact, he is a villain. But over time turns more into an anti-hero. And I don't know, it got me on a whole thought spiral of anti-heroes and villains that I love. And I don't know if this is a huge tell to me and explains a lot of my dating history, but I love them. My favorite characters are always the lovable villains, and Klaus is high up there. I will always be team Klaus and Caroline, like that. Ugh, talk about a love story. And I then started to think about, you know, other shows that I also have, I'm drawn to those types of characters. And Villanelle, has anyone watched, I don't know if anyone's watched Killing Eve. Like, I don't know, maybe, you know, maybe it's great writing, or, you know, I have some kind of like complex where like savior complex where I'm like, you know, they did all these horrible things, but you know, look at this one nice thing they did. It's not looking good for me in the future. But Villanelle is one of my favorite. I don't know if we call her an anti-hero. I think we'd just call her a villain. And you know, she's a assassin that hunts and kills people for sport and for money. Yeah, she'll do one nice thing and I'll be like, I don't know, she's not that bad. Do you know what I mean? She has a little bit of, you know, she'll have this like electric chemistry with Eve, who's played by Sandra Oh, and Villanelle's played by Jodie Comer, and they have this electric chemistry, and I just think I forgive her. I actually do forgive her and think that, you know, is she that bad? Like, half the people she killed don't seem like great people anyway. And it's so crazy. It's so crazy that a show can make you feel like that. But like, she's one of my favorites on that show. And what are some others? Some others that I was really reflecting on. Gru. Gru could steal the moon. Gru from Despicable Me. He's the guy who is he's a villain. He's a thief. But he adopts these three tiny children. If you adopt children, yeah, actually you can steal the moon. And I don't see any issues with that, because yes, he's a burglar and he is a villain, but he loves kids. And how crazy is that? How crazy is that? So I don't know is that a toxic trait? I don't know, but the villains are actually my favorite, and anti-heroes are my favorite characters in any shows, especially when it shows that level of character development and you see all these different sides. Like, who really loves a hero, you know? Like, okay, you get it, you save everyone. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, I don't know, it feels like teacher's pet like, I know it all. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, they're kind of annoying. But an anti-hero, they're the people I want to see on the screen. Okay. Well, I want to thank everyone for coming back to listening to me. To anyone who's new, thank you for listening. Just a little update from me. I think with my schedule and everything that is going on, I want to be able to make sure I'm consistently bringing good regular content, but I think to be able to do that, I'm going to change the scheduling of the podcast to be once a month, the first Thursday of every month, be there or be square. I have got some exciting guests coming up. I think this will be potentially one of the last solo episodes in a while. So I'm very excited. Definitely look out for that. And thank you for sticking with me and just being here on the journey that is my brain. I appreciate you. I love you. And I will see you next time.